So I'm here on Snowden. It seems appropriate that we start our story of North Wales climbs here. It's the highest point of England and Wales. It was first climbed in 1638 by a guy called Thomas Johnson. Thomas Johnson came from a part of London called Snow Hill, or in the Old English at the time, Snowden. His ascent also came at a time that NASA referred to as the mini ice age. It was a period of solar minimum, so there was potentially snow on the hill for a lot longer than we have today. Whatever the reason, the mountain has since been anglicised and is called Snowden. And what we're going to do today is go find the first ever rock climb on this cliff here. Rock climbing in North Wales only started here, in Cloggy, or as climbers know it, Cloggy, when the Reverends Bingley and Williams ascended the Eastern Terrace. Right to left diagonal going up through the cliff. They weren't here for rock climbing though. What they were here for was for a botanical expedition to try and find a few samples of rare alpine plants. So the two reverends made their way up to this point here, 300 foot up, perched between the east buttress and the west buttress in a really exposed position. At the time this whole rock would have been heavily vegetated with moss and grass and quite a lot of those rare alpine plants they were looking for. Today it's been cleaned up a lot and it's actually quite easy. But back then, one of the reverends said,
"I believe it was the prospect downwards that determined us to brave every difficulty. It happened fortunately that the steep section immediately above us was the only one that presented any material danger. Mr. Williams, having a pair of strong shoes with nails in them, which would hold their footing better than mine, requested to make the first attempt, and after some difficulty he succeeded. When he had fixed himself securely to part of the rock, he took off his belt and, holding it firmly by one end, gave the other to me. I laid hold and with a little aid from the stones fairly pulled myself up by it. After this we got on pretty well, and in about an hour and a quarter from the commencement of our labour we found ourselves on the brow of this dreadful precipice, and in the possession of all the plants we expected to find."
the efforts of the two reverends did not start mountaineering in the area. Instead, what it took was a new breed of scientists, freethinkers and academics that would come to North Wales to try and push natural sciences forward. People like Tyndall, Darwin, Sedgwick all came to North Wales trying to search for some answers to some of the worldly questions. What many of them found was a miniature alpine playground. Crib Rock, whose pinnacle, as you can see at the distance behind me, was first ascended in 1847 by C.A.O. Baumgartner, which is still today one of the finest alpine excursions in the UK. ridge in the foreground is the Parsons Nose. That was allegedly first ascended by a parson who used to go mountaineering in the area. He had a penchant for climbing the skyline of a mountain. And there's never a more dramatic skyline than the Parsons Nose itself, one of the classic alpine ridges in the UK. So I'm here below the Parsons Nose now, or the Cloggy Parsons Arete, and it's an absolutely classic route. One of the reasons it's a classic route is if you look just behind me, you can see that there's a change in geology, and one of my favourite things about this is you can go through a geological epoch in like a footstep. It's also a stunning line taking the skyline of this arete. It's absolutely magical.
So that was episode 1 of North Wales Climb. It's a little mini series I'm kind of working on at the moment. If you like it, you know, comment on the video below. It might encourage me to get out there and do another few episodes of this. The other thing that I'm interested in is trying to find commercial partners who might want to have their products included in these videos. If you do, you can get in contact with me through YouTube or at mark.reeves@mac.com or through my websites, snowdoniamountainguides.com or lifeinthevertical.co.uk. Many thanks.